comfortable. Stay out there with Ultra.
If you're out walking daily and you're not seeing
Today we're
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hookster Talks with me and Mr. TB the Bear, everyone's favourite bear. Mwah. Mwah. We love you, don't we, TB? No, don't touch the microphone. Don't touch the microphone with them paws. Paws off. Paws off. Good boy, aren't you? Yes, good boy. Go back down there then. Go back down there then. Hello everyone. And welcome back to the madness. Yes, it's me again. Yes. Have you got fed up with me yet? Oh God, here we go. The 43 lesbians is in the chat. 11 minutes, I know. Cancel Dave, sexist, misogynist, down with Dave, bimbo supremacy, lesbians rule, 15 minutes late, Dave. I know. I'm not 15 minutes late. I have been doing things while I've been setting up the stream. If you saw me sitting here with a bored look on my face, it's because I was sending links to every person on the planet, yes, and everything else that needs to go into setting up the stream. But now I'm here, yes, now I'm here. Glory to Paddock 43, yes indeed, glory to Paddock 43. God bless you girls, God bless you. Yes, have another glass of champers for me, yes indeed. Anyway, hello everyone and welcome back. I say everyone, it looks like it's me and 43 lesbians. That reminds me of a day back in the 80s. But anyway, let's move on very quickly. Very quickly. Yes, Formula 1 is back this weekend at Bahrain. Yes, Bahrain. Yes. Sounds a bit like Azek, doesn't it? But it's Bahrain. Yes, for the Grand Prix. And God, I hope it's going to be a better race than last weekend's, because that was a shit sandwich served on a dirty plate, wasn't it? Oh my God, that was horrible. Quite possibly the most boringest race I think I've seen in a very long time indeed. So please, can we just erase that now from the timeline and say no? I mean, can you imagine in 20 years time when Sky does all these classic races? They're not going to put that one on, are they? Jesus, no one's going to want to watch that one. They'll all be shouting at the screen, put Spa 98 on, mate, put Spa 98 on. We don't want this rubbish. Absolute. This is what I fear for future generations, you see, because if we don't at least get some classic races during the season, there's going to be nothing to watch for the newcomers, for the sport coming in 20 years' time. There's going to be nothing for them to watch. They're not going to watch that shit that was on last week, are they? Who would want to watch that race again unless you're completely mental or there's something not quite right with you, because nobody will watch that again. That was a horrible race. Boring. McLaren's doing their usual gentleman's excuse me. Could I Lando going, can I win it? Can I catch Max? Piastri sort of going, can I come round you? Can I come round you and have a go at Max? No, because I'm going to have a go at Max. I'm going to pass Max and I'm going to win the race. What happened? Absolutely bloody nothing. Spa 90, McLaren bottle job. Spa 98, what's that? What about classics like Abu Dhabi 2021? Yes, a real classic. It's such a classic that there's a certain young man on YouTube, I won't mention his name, I do believe he's done over 617 videos just about that subject. Just that one race. That, sir, is called dedication. Yes. Now, you lot may have moaned about my WTF1 videos when I think I milked that to about 27 videos, but that's not a patch on this man. This guy is just incredible. He's done 617 videos all about Abu Dhabi 2021. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Hello, Mr. Lionel Pesci, welcome to the street. Says congratulations to Max Verstappen on winning the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, we know it's probably going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Oh, by the way, while you're here, Mr. Lionel Pesci, I just want to say two things. One, I'm a bit behind on messages, so I will catch up later. But I did see quite a few from you earlier, but I will catch up later. And the second one is I'd just like to thank you for all your contributions to give me the stats for each season, because at some point in the future, when the all season's finished, I will be doing this massive sort of review of the whole thing from the start, and so that's going to be a great help for me in my research, so thank you for that. I'm up to episode 82 on this all seasons rubbish, the second season on F1 2009. I think you said that if you didn't win the title, you'd have to send a message to Rachel, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yes, I remember that. And I'll tell you what, it was a bit of luck it didn't come to that, because I don't know if you know the story, but she actually took someone to court for sending inappropriate messages. So, whoopsie! I got away with that then, didn't I? I got away with that. Oh, God, it could have been another Paddock 43 all over again. So, yeah, that was good. I'm glad I did win the season. Yes, F1 2009. Oh, my God. Whoa. What? Insert countdown music here. Oh my God, yes. The 2009 season, that was terrible. That was on my old PC. That's not the one I'm talking on now, it's the one before that. My old PC emulation, and that was back in the days when emulation was in its infancy. I know I'm only going back like 7 years ago, but emulation has come on such a long way in the past 7 years. It's been unbelievable. Seriously. Leaps and bounds, emulation. But back 7 years ago, emulation was just, it was just something that people were doing, but things were not very good in the emulation department. And so that game was just, oh my God. And of course, my computer being old, no graphics card in it at all. So it was just running on the Intel graphics that comes with the machine. And it was just, the first season was the worst because several of the settings weren't right on the game, but I managed to find a forum where they said try these settings, and I tried them, and it did improve the frame rate tremendously for season 2, which was great, and it was more controllable as well, because it was like a clip show at times, and you couldn't control the car because it was jerk, 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 jerk. But by season 2, after I put those settings in, it improved it massively. So I'd just like to say thanks to whoever that was in that forum. That was years ago. I can't remember who it was now, who actually posted that. And it saved the all seasons for season 2. I wasn't even going to do F1 2009. It was purely because I saw that some people were doing it in emulation, and I thought, I'll give it a go. I wish I hadn't, because it was just such a pain in the arse to sort out and to get done. But also in that regards, I'm glad that I did it, because it's there on YouTube. I'm never going to do another season on F1 2009 through emulation, because it's just, too much of a ball ache. It really is. Get Christian Clean, the greatest F1 driver in the history of the world ever, on this all seasons rubbish. Yes. I think emulation has been a thing for a number of years before then. Oh, has it? I didn't think it had been out that long, emulation. I thought it had only been sort of like the last 7 or 8 years, so I don't know. But I will bow to your superior knowledge. But as I say, still like 7 years ago, if you compare it to what emulation's doing now, emulation leaps and bounds. I've heard they've pretty much got PS3 emulation sorted, which is great news, because anyone who knows about PS3, it's been a pain in the arse to do through emulation, because the actual original console was very, very complicated in its architecture, because it wasn't based on any sort of PC architecture. It was based on its own architecture that Sony made, and so trying to get it to work in emulation has been a complete pain in the arse. But I understand that they've pretty much got it nailed now, which is great news for the future, because that means that the lost PS3 games are going to still be able to be played in 20 or 30 years time. And there's quite a few franchises still stuck on PS3 that have never been remastered. They only have to be remastered onto PS4, and of course that will translate to PS5 as well. But a lot of them haven't been, so they're stuck there. There's the Resistance series, those 3 games. They're still stuck on PS3. There's no other way of playing them because they haven't been remastered. So, but there's tons of series on PS3 that haven't translated onto PS4, which is a shame, or even been remastered. So yeah, so now it looks like they're going to be able to be played in the future. I mean, for me, you've got the whole of the PS3 F1 series locked on PS3, because there's no way anyone's going to remaster old F1 games. It's just never going to happen. Where have you ever seen an old F1 game remastered? Nowhere. So you've got all those old Codemasters games, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, all locked away on the PS3 with, once all the PS3s in the world are broken, which it will happen, every day they're getting older and every day they're getting closer to retirement, that'll be it. So everyone will have to turn to emulation, but it's great to see that the PS3 looks good. Emulation looks good. It's only going to get better. So yeah, I'd love to still be playing F1 2010 in, I'd like to say 20 years time, but I don't know if I'll still be around then, but I'd like to still be playing F1 2010 in 10 years time, maybe through emulation. That would be great, because I don't think the PS3s are going to last another 10 years. I mean, I've got 3 of them now, but I still think another 10 years is going to be really pushing it. And last year, iOS allowed emulators, and that's why I've been able to play old F1 games on them. Ah, yes. And I have to say, looking at your videos, that the emulation looks really, really good on iOS. It really does. I've been watching them closely because I'm a bit of a nerd in that regard, and I can't see any kind of slowdown or anything like that. So, looks good. And no like picture artifacts either, which is quite annoying for emulation. Looks good. I like it. Sir, I'll have you know we are 43 strong, independent women. Of course. I love lesbians. I know I love lesbians. I really do love lesbians. Yeah. The problem with trying to play F1 games on any other consoles apart from the PS1 and PSP on emulator is because using my PS5 controller, it's a job trying to figure out the controls as they're different. Yeah, that is a problem. Yes, that is a problem. And of course, a lot of the old like PS1 games, especially if I remember rightly, F1 97, doesn't that use the X button for accelerate and the square button to brake? Yes, it had analog controls, but only for the steering, didn't it? If I remember rightly, F1 97, it had no analog accelerate and brake, did it? No. That's right. So you'd have to be using a PS5 controller for the X and the square. And a PS5 controller doesn't feel right. I've tried it myself. It doesn't feel right using the X and the square. It doesn't feel anything like the old PS1 controllers for that kind of thing. So I can understand, yeah, that could be a problem. It doesn't matter so much when you get to the analog games, like F1 98 actually had analog throttle and brake, didn't it? I don't know why, but it did. So yeah, it doesn't matter with those, but yeah, especially and of course the original Formula 1 didn't even have the analog steering, did it? That was on the D-pad and the X and the thing button. So yeah, that's I don't know, it just feels weird to me, a PS5. I think it's maybe because of the size of it. It just doesn't feel right, using the buttons for accelerate and brake. Super Mario Verstappen, unbelievable in Japan. Yes, he was. Motorstorm as well, as they shut down the developers years ago. Motorstorm, yes, that's another series that's stuck on PS3. Yeah, that's a shame. And that's never been remastered or anything, has it? Also, PlayStation Home, which shut down over 10 years. Yes. Oh, I remember PlayStation Home. Superior to you, mere mortal men. That's true. I bow down to all lesbians. What I'd like to. Xbox 360 was Xbox's biggest hit, to be honest. Mr. Rugara. I don't know if you know this, so I'm gonna tell you because you're fairly new to the channel, but the channel's called F1 Games PlayStation. Okay, we don't mention X Bones around here. Okay, no, we do not mention that dirty word X. I can't even say it. But no, we just don't. Okay, no one mentions X Bone, whatever it is. I don't know, Xbox 720, whatever it's called these days. I don't know. I've never had one. They're probably great. They're probably absolutely brilliant. But I've never had one. So obviously, because of the name of my channel, I'm contractually obliged to take the piss out of them. So that's what I do. So yeah, I can't stand them. Xbox? No. F1 98? What's that game? Yes. What is that game? What is that game indeed? We certainly don't want your tiny X. That's true. That's very, very true. Now, I'm going to link this to you because you sent it to me. Let me just hide that a moment so I don't... do anything incriminating. There we go. Right, so Mr. Whatever he's calling himself these days, Frey Bentos Lesbian Pies or whatever, has linked this to me, so I'm going to read it out. Let me just make myself smaller. I haven't read this at all, so I'm reading it live to you. So I don't even know what it's about. I have no idea what it's about. I just put the link up on the tab on my computer after it was sent to me, and so now I'm going to read it out. So if I make mistakes, I apologise, because this is my first time reading it. Right, latest Cape Town F1 proposal aims to build on World Cup legacy. Organisers behind Cape Town's Grand Prix bid explain the concept behind their ambitious street race. That's what we need in Formula One. Another street race. Now, just looking at that looks peachy. That picture, doesn't it? Must admit, that looks peachy. Absolutely peachy. I'm presuming that's the artist mock-up of the track they're proposing. The South African government is nearing a decision on which project to support as it aims to bring Formula One back to the country. South Africa. Have we been to South Africa before? I'm not quite sure. Aims to bring Formula One back to the country. So it must have been. Yes, we have been. Where was the last South African Grand Prix? The last Kyalami, I thought it was. Yes, Kyalami. I remember playing Kyalami in an old Mega Drive game, I think. The last South African Grand Prix, which is also the last Formula One race held on the continent of Africa, took place at the 1993 Kyalami circuit, won by Alan Prost, Inna Williams. Yes, I've got a... I don't know where it is. Somewhere. Is it behind me? Up in the air? Yeah, up there somewhere. There's a Formula One game for the Mega Drive. And I remember playing Kyalami. Yes. Yes, that's right. Okay, we've established we've had Formula One before. I thought we had. I just had to check. Earlier bids to revive the South African Grand Prix at Kyalami have failed, but the country's government has promised a new push to bring the series back to the African powerhouse, opening up a bid process earlier this year. A return to a refurbished Kyalami, which last hosted the race the F1 in 1993, and a proposed street race around Cape Town's waterfront appear to be the two main contenders to receive public backing, with a deadline for the bid's committee decision at the end of April. Cape Town's bid is hoping the central urban location of its Tilka designed 5.7, that's quite long, isn't it? 5.7 kilometre circuit snaking around the Green Point Harbour and utilising the facilities around the DHL Stadium built for the 2010 FIFA World Cup will help it get across the line. The latest design has all the bells and whistles, Cape Town GP CEO Ikshan Amle told Autosport, it's partly on the waterfront and it also uses the facilities that have been used for the Football World Cup. We meet all the requirements with the airport 15 to 20 minutes away from the circuit. We've got a top hospital on site, well that'll be handy, and plenty of hotels within walking distance. What also plays a big role is the natural backdrops of Robin Island, the waterfront and Table Mountain. That sounds like something out of Gran Turismo, doesn't it? Yes, welcome to Table Mountain. Cape Town has a lot to offer as our top holiday destination. We're up against Kyalami, which has a rich Formula 1 history, so it's a street race versus a purpose-built circuit. We'll be waiting to see what the decision will be. Here we could easily accommodate 250,000 people, so it makes it more accessible to more people. So here we go then. There is the Cape Town GP layout, designed by Herman Tilke. Herman Tilke. So what do we think about this? Contrary to previous proposals, the latest design would not take the circuit through the DHL Stadium itself, but run alongside it, using the venue for the paddock, media centre and hospitality areas. The purpose of running through the stadium was that it could take a capacity of up to 70,000 people, and our intention was to make it accessible to people that can never afford to go to a Formula 1 race. After speaking to the circuit's designers, there are a few obstacles. It would be better to actually run along the circuit. Yes, I understand. Well, I presume one of those obstacles is they'd have to keep dismantling it to do the actual football, wouldn't they? To do, what actually goes on inside the stadium. So to actually have the circuit running through it would be a huge pain in the arse, because they'd have to keep taking it apart straight after the Grand Prix again. So yeah, it makes more sense. I can see why they're running the circuit, as you can see here, alongside the stadium there. It's running along it, not actually going through it. I mean, that would be cool if it had gone through it. Sort of reminds me of that huge grandstand at Mexico. That would have been cool, but I can understand that is a better decision, because then they can just leave the circuit alone and not have to keep, taking it apart each time. Because obviously you can't have a road race going through the middle of the stadium, can you? No, that doesn't quite work, does it? So yeah, I can see that's a better decision. So there you go then. We could be getting a race back again on the calendar in South Africa at Cape Town. Yes. So there it is. Herman Tilke's finest, as you can see. Yes, it's actually, just looking at that, that looks like a very angry person's head, doesn't it? Can you see that? Look, there's the neck, and there's the mouth, and there's the eye. There's the eye, and that's the rest of their head. A very angry person. That's what that is. Look, shouting, "Hey, get off my lawn! Get off my grass! Yeah, get off my." That's what it looks like to me, anyway. I've just made that up in my head. So there you go anyway. Cape Town. Latest proposal for a Grand Prix. Will it come to fruition? We will find out. Mr. Regard says, lol, that's literally the only one I have proper respect for, to be honest. Otherwise it's all PlayStation. Yes. I created a better circuit than that they created. I'll send you it now. Okay, he's going to send me a better circuit than that. South Africa did host Formula 1 races. Yeah, Kyalami is in South Africa. Thank you. Plano Police says, what's the Mega Drive game called F1 World Championship? Oh, you know what? I can't remember. I've got to swap my glasses over because it's behind me and it's up in the air. What's it called? What's it called? Actually, was it the Mega Drive or was it the Commodore Amiga? I'm not quite sure. I can't even see it now. There's one up there, but it just says F1. I don't think it's that one. Weird. Let me go back, put the glasses back on a minute and we'll have a look. F1 World Championship. I'm not quite sure. I've got so many here. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've got games here for the Commodore Amiga. Nigel Mansell. It might have been this one. I'm not quite sure. Nigel Mansell's World Championship for the Commodore Amiga. Might have been that. I don't know. But I've got that one. I've also got Grand Prix. It might have been that one. Also for the Commodore Amiga. Grand Prix. I don't know. It was one of those. It was one of those. And I thought it was for the Mega Drive, but I can't see it. I've only got half a dozen Mega Drive games. And they look like they're all up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9. That sounds about right. It was one of those anyway. But there's definitely had a race at Kyalami. I think, now I kind of mention it, I think it was this one. Because this was 1993, I think, when that came out. Has it got a date on it? Yeah, there you go. 1992, which means that if that was based on the 92 season, they were still racing at Kyalami. It must have been this one then. Must have been this one. There you go. This is Jeff Crammond's Grand Prix, by the way, the original Grand Prix game. But I say, if you're wondering what this is, by the way, it's called a floppy disk. I know, you may not have seen these, but it's floppy disk. I don't know why it's called a floppy disk, because it's not floppy. It's called a floppy disk because when they first came out, they were massive, 5.5 inches. 5.5 inches, so they're twice the size of these, but they were like paper, they were like cardboard, and they were floppy. That's why it's called a floppy disk. They still call them floppy disks, even when they didn't become floppy. Now, this, of course, is universal, because you can still find programs where it says to save, and the icon is this icon here. Floppy icon. There's still computer games and loads of stuff where this is still the icon. My editing software has this as the save icon. When you want to save it, you have to press this icon. So yeah, universal. But that's a floppy disk. So it might have been that one because it's 1992. 1992. Oh, right. Where'd I get to? It was on the Nigel... Oh, there you go. Nigel Mansell game. That's the one. That's on the Amiga. I always get confused because the Amiga and the Mega Drive were very, very similar in regards to graphics and the games as well. In fact, Mega Drive games and Amiga drives were practically identical. It's just on different systems. So I always get confused which one it was on. South Africa isn't in any state to host a race, to be honest. It should be at Morocco. I think we're going to be racing in Rwanda soon, to be honest. Yes. There was also F1 Beyond the Limit or something, but that was for the Mega CD, aka Sega CD. Yes, F1 Beyond. I remember the name. I heard that game apparently had a career mode. A career mode? A career mode? Oh my god. Wait a minute. F1 Beyond the Limit. Let's see if I can find that on YouTube. Dee 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 dee. Oh yeah, I can see your message. I'll get there in a minute. F1 Beyond the Limit. Sega CD. There's something here. There's something here, lads. Oh my god. There's something here. Here it is. F1 Beyond the Limit. Let me get my headphones on. Here it is. Oh, headphones. Come here. F1 Beyond the Limit. Alright, what's that? The best racing game on the Mega CD. Limit review. Let's have a look at that a minute then. It's a review. I've never even seen this.
About 2 years ago,
God.
over 4,000 people
Shut
decided
up.
to invest in mouse. And this
Shut- Got to mute that in case it's copyrighted. Copyrighted music, it's bound to be. Here it is, lads. Look at this. F1 Beyond the Limit. Wowzers. Wowzers.
Presented by Sega Enterprises and Fuji Television.
We recently took a look at F1 Challenge on the Saturn, which is an officially licensed F1 title that was organised through the Formula One Constructors Association and not the FIA, which meant it had a limited amount of tracks, drivers and teams to choose from. The same arrangement was also organised by Sega and the FOCA for 1994's Formula One World Championship Beyond the Limit. However, this Mega CD title offers players the full range of teams, circuits and drivers bar Ayrton Senna, which makes F1 Challenge's paltry offerings a year later even more bizarre. Being an earlier title, Beyond the Limit focuses on the 1993 F1 Championship season, and this is a wonderfully Sega appropriate season to focus on, as Donington Park and the Williams team were sponsored by Sega at the time, and you can see their branding on the track billboards and car's livery respectively. Also putting F1 Challenge to shame is the extensive season mode, which allows players to race through the entire 16 race season. You even have to worry about changes in weather, which will require pit stops in order to change your tyres for the various conditions. In addition to the season mode is a 1993 mode, which is one of the most novel inclusions I've ever seen in an F1 game. This is a series of short challenges based on real scenarios from the 1993 season, complete with introductory FMV from TV coverage of that era that gives context to the various challenges. This is seriously impressive stuff that is above and beyond the scope of any F1 game I can think of from this era. And finally we have the free run mode, which allows you to practice on any circuit with any car and driver. You can tweak the amount of laps and also the weather as well, making for one of the most extensive practice modes I've seen in a retro F1 game. So what about the handling? Well, despite the breadth of simulation options we're presented with, Beyond the Limit has a very approachable and arcadey handling model. The car grips like a beast even if you go off track. There is sadly no collision program for any of the roadside objects apart from barricades. This also has the negative effect of making the game even easier because you can cut corners to your heart's content and make impossible gains on the pack that you'd be penalised for in reality. Beyond the Limit is also pulling out all the stops in regards to the Mega CD's enhanced capabilities. We have sprite scaling, we have rotation effects, we have FMV and we have Redbook audio. We even have some pretty convincing changes in elevation, which is impressive considering rotation effects like these normally require the tracks to be perfectly flat. The presentation in general is nothing short of excellent, with the menus and dialogue sequences feeling very much like era-appropriate TV coverage. If you have any nostalgia for 90s F1, then Beyond the Limit has captured the vibe perfectly. Even the FMV is of generally high quality, and it runs in full screen at a good frame rate. Unfortunately, the in-game frame rate does leave a lot to be desired. Don't get me wrong, Beyond the Limit is a playable game, but the choppy frame rate does spoil the overall presentation. The draw distance is also pretty low, with roadside objects and other cars popping in and out of existence very abruptly. I almost think this has been done on purpose in order for the frame rate to not drop even lower, but once again it does kind of spoil the presentation somewhat. But despite these quibbles, I think Formula One World Championship Beyond the Limit is one of the best F1 games of the era, with its extensive season and mission modes, the entire selection of circuits, cars and drivers, and a fantastic TV-like presentation. Mega CD owners will absolutely want this one in their collection, as it's a great showcase piece for what the system can do in the right hands.
at that. Fantastic. I've never seen that before. Never seen that before. Mega C. I never got a Mega CD. No, never got a Mega CD. That was way too expensive for me at the time. Way too expensive for me at the time. Mega CD. Right. Well, that was very interesting. I enjoyed that. Yes, so it did have a career mode. Wow. Can't believe it. And also featured the entire driver lineup, even the replacement drivers of 1993, like the first Formula 1 game for PS1 and F1 99. Yes! Hello, Mr. DJM99. Welcome to the stream. He says South African Street Circuit. Zzz. Yes, yes, yes. For reference, the 2010 World Cup legacy is largely a disaster, with tons of corruption, money, and most of the stadiums have ended up being unused white elephants. There you go. The circuit is incredibly bang average. Not the worst, but definitely not a good circuit for F1. Nigel Mansell, again, was a shocker. I heard that someone from the FIA has resigned. Sent you the track, says, yeah, I shall be there in a second. Sent you the track. Hello, Mr. DJM99. He says, Jeff Craven's Grand Prix was amazing. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I've still got an Amiga sitting down here next to me, purely to play the original Grand Prix from Jeff Crammond. The Amiga still works as well, by the way. And by the way, Amiga 600s are going for 210 quid on eBay right now. 200. I'm so tempted, but I don't know if I can part with it. I don't know if I can part, but I know I can definitely part with 210 quid. Definitely. But yes, Commodore Amigas right now, the 600 model, are going for about just over 200 quid. But I just love it for that game. Yes. It had several utilities and patches from fans, so you could edit all sorts of things. Happy day, yes. Bandwagon fan wins MPV of the Life Madness final. Meanwhile, Fernandez is saving Manchester United. Dave doesn't care about football. The late-breaking guys still have zero bold prediction. The draw distance absolutely destroys that game by the looks of it. Yeah, unfortunately, that was a problem with a lot of early F1 games, was the draw distance. The first PS1 Formula 1 game was supposed to be on the Sega Saturn, but it got cancelled. The FIA employee was probably forced out for not accepting bungs given to Salami. Salami, yes. Right, let's go back to full screen here. Make sure there's no incriminating evidence. No, there isn't. Right, here we go, everyone. So this is Mr. Frey Bentos 43 lesbians, whatever he's calling himself this week. This is the track that he's made for South Africa. As you can see, there is the stadium in the middle. So give it your critique. All everybody watching, give it a critique out of 10, please. I'll leave it on the screen for a couple of minutes so you can soak it in, and yeah, give us your opinion of his track that he's made for South Africa. The South African Grand Prix, yes, the South African Grand Prix, home of the Krugerland. The Krugerlands, yes, the Krugerlands. Yes, I can't do South African accents, no, I'm terrible at South African. Ah dear, but there it is. There is the South African Grand Prix. Give us your rating. Give us your rating. Okay, that's been on the screen long enough. Let's go back to the chat. See what they've given the rating of your track. Hello, Matthew7657. Welcome to the stream. He says, bring back the utters. Yes, I should bring back the utters. I need to modify it a bit. The hairpin at the top needs cutting down. I understand. Right, it looks like no one's giving you a rating, so I don't know. Maybe they've all fallen asleep by now. Yeah, still no ratings. Yeah, they've all nodded off. They've all nodded off by now. Yes. Oh, that's quite funny. I like that. I like that. They've all nodded off. They've all nodded off. Okay. No ratings? None at all? No. I think they're winding you up, really. I think they're winding you up, really. No ratings? No. 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 Okay. Right, let's move on then. It's still a street circuit, says DJM99. It sure is. It sure is. Okay, unfortunately now we've got to go to the future now. I'm sorry, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Yes, I am an F1 channel, and it is my duty to report on all things F1. And yes, I've got to report on this. Yes, today we had the F1 25 career deep dive. Now, everyone's got their panties in a pickle over this video. I was looking at the comments just before I came on air, and everybody's panties are in a pickle over this because they've made a major change to my team, which everyone is not happy about. Anyway, let's have a look and see what's going on at Codemasters EA Sports.
Today, we're talking about some of the core features and major changes that you can expect to see for My Team and Driver Career. Let's get stuck in. If you've played My Team in one of our previous F1 games, you'll be familiar with taking on the role of driver owner, a single character that not only runs the day-to-day activities behind the scenes, but also jumps into the cockpit for the on-track action. For F1 25, however, we're shaking things up as My Team 2.0 sees you take on a more authentic, management-focused role in that of a team owner. As well as handling the critical facilities that make an F1 team tick, engineering, personnel, and corporate, you'll be responsible for recruiting and managing a pair of drivers to represent your team, with the choice as to which driver you'd like to take to the track throughout each race weekend.
Okay, now at this point everyone got very confused, but basically if anyone's played the old My Team, they will know that you create a driver which is you, and you drive the car. Now a lot of people got confused and thought that this meant that you were just the manager of a team and you were sorting out which driver you wanted to do what. You are the manager of the team, and that also means that you can't drive as yourself. But a lot of people thought that means you can't drive at all. That isn't the case. Clearly, Codemasters said there that you can pick who you want to drive. But the thing is, these two drivers, they're not you. They're not you. And so that aspect of My Team has now gone. So basically, My Team is now gone. The version that started in 2020, the 21, 22, 23, and 24, that version of My Team is no more. So if that was your favourite part of My Team, which was selecting your own driver and racing it, that's now out the window because it's not possible. You can select two drivers and you can race as any driver. Every single race you can drive as whoever you want to drive as. I think that's quite decent, because if one of the teammates isn't doing very well, you can take control of the car and try and get them a better position. Now, we all know in the F1 games, you can always drive better than the AI can, providing you haven't got the AI set on maximum, of course. So, yeah, that part of it I think is good. But unfortunately, a lot of people have sort of gone into the comments and gone, oh, well, that's it. I'm not going to bother with this anymore. So, yeah, anyway, we'll continue.
The engineering facility separates research and development for the first time. When developing a part you've researched, you can decide where to focus the team's efforts. Will you look to develop parts for both drivers simultaneously, which will take longer but ultimately cost less? Or do you opt for a single part for your in-form driver, having it ready for an upcoming Grand Prix? Favouring one driver over another can affect a driver's perception of the team, which could lead to less favourable contract terms if you look to re-sign that driver for the following season. So be warned, every decision matters.
Now, of course, this obviously is F1 Manager on EA Sports F1 25, because F1 Manager is no more. The last game that came out last year was it. So obviously they've taken up a lot of the ideas that they had and put them into my team. Now, that's good in a way. I always said the problem with F1 Manager was that you couldn't drive the cars yourself. I always would have thought that was such a great idea to actually be able to take control. You can of course do that here. My problem is they just seem to be ladling in more and more complicated features that nobody really wants. Nobody really wants. I mean, I've got two guys in the comments right now who are going through my all seasons career modes, and they're going through like from the early days, 2004 career to 5, 6, 7 championship season, all that. You look at those career modes. Why did they work? Why did they work? Because they were simple. It was all about the racing. 100% the race, nothing else. Nothing about, trying to build up your XP or none of that bollocks. It was all about the racing, which is what you buy an F1 game for. You do not buy it for all this claptrap. I mean, when I'm recording the all seasons races, the worst part for me is spending the first 5 or 10 minutes basically doing, team management and organisation and putting parts on the car and whatever. It's just boring. It really is. Anyway, let's continue.
The personnel facility introduces a driver contract system with unique outcomes that allow you to negotiate with multiple drivers on the approach to the contract window. Take some time to meet drivers face to face, discuss terms, and figure out the best lineup for your future team. But be careful, you don't want the news of your conversations to be leaked to other drivers. Outside of drivers, your workforce comprises the additional staff under your command. Naturally, the more you have, the greater the cost, with the upside of faster development of parts, reduced build facility improvement times, and more. Be sure to keep an eye on your finances and not to break the cost cap. This is where the...
Now, I'm playing F1. Well, it's no big secret. It's no big secret because I'm doing the F1 23 all seasons. It's about to finish and it is the last season. So I'm not giving anything away. I'm now doing the F1 24 career mode, and I think I'm about 3/4 of the way through the career. And some of the extra features they put on there are just absolutely pointless. They've got these goals that you have to obtain during the races now. You've got to maintain your ERS deployment for, to get to a certain amount within 3 laps, and it's just so easy to do. It's unbelievable. You literally just turn the ERS off, and it shoots up to that level. You've done it within seconds. So it's absolutely pointless. And then I think I've only had one good one so far, which was overtake the driver in front, which was absolutely ridiculous because he was 20 seconds up the road. There's just no way you're going to overtake the driver if he's 20 seconds up the road. But all those, it's just pointless. It's just pointless shit. It really is. And it just, I don't know, takes it away.
Corporate facility comes into play. Spreading your finances effectively across the season is crucial to staying in the black, so review your spending often. Corporate is also where you'll be able to customize your livery using the new decal editor. More on that update soon.
Now that looks a lot better. Finally, it looks like you'll be able to put some decent liveries on the car. That's been a real bugbear, but I expect they'll still have lots of those liveries locked off that you have to pay for, but that at least is going to make the car look better, which is good. My team in F1 25 brings you closer to the real-life sport than ever before.
With the choice of taking control of either driver, each race weekend offers unique opportunities. Is one of your drivers in a position to win the Drivers' Championship? Or might your pursuit of the Constructors' Championship be better served by taking control of your second driver? With near limitless possibilities, those critical tactical decisions will shape your team's legacy.
Yeah, so that part is quite interesting. As I say, you've got the choice between two drivers, and if one's not doing very well, you could then take control of the other. Now, we've had this before in Formula 1 games. Everyone remembers the old F1 2003. You had like the hot seat facility that no one ever used, and yet I thought it was brilliant. Was hot seat. I think the reason people didn't use it is because they were a bit confused because they didn't know what it did. But basically, you could take control of, I think, up to 4 cars during any given race, and it was supposed to be a 4-player mode. But you could play it in single player, which was great because you could then control 4 different cars during the race. And then after about a set time, I think it was 2 minutes, it would then revert the control of your car to another one, which was maybe further up the field or further back down the field. But it was just a great feature that you could swap between the two. And of course, you can't do that with what they're explaining here. You can only drive as one or the other and do the whole race. But the fact that you can swap between two drivers to sort of, as I say, bolster one. If one's not doing very well, you can bring it up. I think that is quite a good idea.
The new Team HQ will allow you to explore an entirely new facility improvement system with a wealth of strategies for you to pursue. You have the choice of how you want to expand your facilities and grow your team. Do you want to fill gaps in your team's expertise, or double down on your strengths and dominate the competition? Upgrades and contract negotiations with drivers earn you XP as a team owner, which can be used to unlock further training points to tailor your personal management style.
Yeah, that's just, as I say, pointless shit, basically. Pointless shit.
My team and driver career.
Accolades. Oh my god. They are such a carry on.
Let's get stuck in.
Oh, wait a minute. Gone past it.
Wealth of strategies for you to pursue. You have the Introduced in last year's driver career, accolades make a return in F125 and are now included as part of My Team. Earning accolades will increase your fan rating, which can be boosted further if you come out on top in any rivalries that develop between your team and your closest competitors. As your fan rating progresses, you'll gain ongoing perks to make your team more effective, unlock the possibility of signing new lucrative title sponsors, and may find it easier to sign more prestigious drivers.
Yeah, that part is in F124 and I absolutely hate it. You start at a driver level which is very low, of course I think it's about 70, and you've got to work your way up to 100, and if you don't do very well in some of the races then your driver level, and that's all it's just, oh my god, it drives me nutty, it really does.
Both My Team and driver career benefit from significant changes to the driver icon system in F125. For the very first time, both career modes will allow AI teams the option to recruit driver icons. That's right, you could end up going wheel-to-wheel with Michael Schumacher in a modern Ferrari, or Ayrton Senna in this year's McLaren, all whilst racing as a driver icon yourself. Driver career in F125 also allows you to add an 11th team to the grid, adding each of its drivers to the roster of driver icons. Either Breaking Point's Connor Sport, or exclusive to the iconic edition of F125, the Apex GP team.
So basically, in both career modes, you can add an extra team, which is going to be the team from the new F1 movie, which comes out soon, or you can have the Breaking Point's Connor Sport as the 11th team. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I quite like that. You know, that's quite decent, I must admit.
From F1 the movie in cinemas this June. Plus, for my team, you can choose to take control of one of these two teams in your pursuit of the constructor's title, the same way you would your own custom team. Building on our existing model, Career Mode in F125 is the most authentic iteration to date, and the definitive Formula One experience for new and old players to immerse themselves in.
Yes, but it's still no good if the AI is rubbish like it was in F124. So anyway, there it is. Quick 6-minute video on F125. Just trying to look and see if there's any gunk at the bottom. 3 days early access. Yeah, I think that's about 90 quid, isn't it, that version? F175 celebration pack. Lewis Hamilton iconic pack. On some platform generations. Now, of course, a lot of people have lost their shit because it's not available on PS4 anymore. On same platform generation as F125. That's a bit weird. I'm just reading that small print. It says requires F124 sold separately on same platform generation as F125 and all game updates. That sounds weird. That sounds like it is coming out on PS4. That's interesting. 2 stars. What's the 2? Oh, that's the Lewis Hamilton iconic pack. Requires F124 sold separately on same platform generation as F125. That's weird. That's weird. Anyway, there it is. There it is. Let's go to the comments. Matthew says, what is your opinion of Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari? Well, I have to say, so far, not very good. Unfortunately, I did sort of predict before the season even started that Lewis Hamilton would end up probably finishing in the top 10, the lower half of the top 10, and he's doing just that. It's very early days because, you know, Charles Leclerc is doing pretty decent in the Ferrari, but they're still not up there, are they? I'm not seeing them beating the McLarens at the moment or getting anywhere near them, to be honest. So it's still very early doors. We'll have to see. Ferrari, of course, unfortunately can start the season badly and get better, or they can start the season good and get worse. It's very sort of, they're a very roller coaster team, very much the same mould of McLaren. So we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, Lewis Hamilton looks to be doing about just how I expected. As I say, about 8th or 9th place finishing at the moment. I have to say, he doesn't seem to be getting much information from his new team mechanic, or whatever you want to call him. I don't know what his official title is. And he seems to be getting very frustrated with that. So yeah, there needs to be some more communication coming from the team mechanic to Lewis. But apart from that, as I say, he seems to be doing exactly how I thought he would end up be doing, and that's, as I say, finishing in the lower half of the top 10. I thought he would still end up in the points, but definitely in the sort of lower half. Definitely the Mercedes at the moment are pretty much better than the Ferrari, which doesn't bode well for the rest of the season. But we will see what happens. Now I've said that, Ferrari will probably turn it around and be winning races in the next few races. So we will see. Someone give him some ratings. God's sake. He's been mad, to be honest. Hamilton at Ferrari, Matthew says, why is it not on PS4? Well, I'll tell you, Matthew, because... It's gone too far up again. Right, I'll tell you why it's not on PS4. Because as each new generation comes along, the old generation is supported for a little while, and then they get rid of it. Now, because of COVID, the last generation, which is what you call the PS4 now, has been supported for the longest time, I think, of any console generation. I can't remember an old generation being supported this long. Even the PS3 was dumped. I mean, the PS3 was dumped as soon as the PS4 came out because you couldn't play PS3 games on the PS4. So as soon as that came out, that was dumped. But the PS5 came out and you could play 99% of your PS4 games on it. So they managed to keep that console generation going. But as I say, eventually you have to get rid of the previous generation because it actually holds you back from the game that you're trying to make, because you're having to downgrade it to make sure that it also fits the generation before. Now, this is fine, so I can understand why Codemasters have done it, but what I can't understand is they're still using the same Eco engine, so they haven't updated that whatsoever. So the decision for me is a little bit curious, but it had to be done because all the other software companies that make games are now dumping PS4. The new WRC game that came out last year was not supported for PS4, and you're seeing it everywhere now that software developers are no longer continuing to bring out PS4 versions. It was a backdoor cash cow, basically, because they were guaranteed sales, because the user base, I think, is still about 60 million or something for PS4, something like that. It's still quite high. So they were guaranteed sales by bringing out the game on PS4. It was completely guaranteed, and it was a no-brainer. You know, if you knew that there was only like 16 million people on PS5 and 60 million people on PS4, obviously they're not all going to buy your Formula 1 game, but you can see that because there was lots of people on it, it makes sense for you to bring out a game on last generation's platform. But time has now marched on, and now I think we're at about 70 million PS5, something like that. So it's actually overtaken now the PS4, and so now is the time to finally put the last generation to bed. Yes, I mean, you know, you can still play all your PS4 games on the PS5, but it is time to put it to bed, and it does allow them less restrictions in terms of things that they can do, because I think some of the stuff they've announced for 25 they wouldn't be able to do on the PS4 because it wouldn't be possible. So that's why that finally it has been done. It's very sad, I must admit. I mean, but there's still people in our racing league that are still on PS4s. So, you know, and they will probably still be on it until they break. So it is sad, but I can understand the decision why. Eventually you have to release yourself from the previous generation. As I say, PS4 has been supported way past any other console. It really has for support. No other console's gone this long, but it was only during COVID that the lifespan of the PS4 has been extended, obviously, because when COVID came out and the PS5 came out, no one could get hold of the PS5, so they were still just keeping on to their PS4s, so it made sense to just keep the generation going. But now we've reached that point where eventually you've just got to dump it, and that's what they've done. So I can understand that, but I can't understand why they do that and not update the engine as well. But that's Codemasters for you. You're all disappointment says, there, oh, look, you've upset the 43 lesbians now. They'll be sending me more nasty comments now. Give her a rating. Yes, 43 lesbians, all three of us. If it was still on PS4, I feel like they would have held the game back. Yeah, that's exactly that, Planet Plessy, yes. They're obviously aiming to replace the F1 Manager series with My Team. Yes, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I don't want F1 Manager, I just want decent racing. Bring back the good old days. Yes, my sentiments exactly. As I said earlier, if you look at my career modes from back then, it was just the racing, because that's what you bought an F1 game for, was the racing. Not all this accolades and, oh my God, developments and all that. It's all broken anyway. All that stuff is broken. I tell you, if you get to 5 seasons on any of these games, most of that stuff is completely broken. Yes, completely broken. Because there's no way they can keep that code running for 10 seasons without glitches occurring. Because it's all that complicated shit trying to come together. It doesn't work. It does not work. That's why the previous F1 games of the past were so simple, because they just concentrated purely on the racing. And if Codemasters brought out F1 26, yeah, and just got rid of all those features and just put in a driver career mode, where all you did was drive the car and made sure that the AI was brilliant and, you know, really on form, and you really enjoyed racing them, the next F1 game would sell by the bucket loads. Sell by the bucket loads. Yes, it would, because that's all everyone wants. EA don't even ask the community what they want. They just make these decisions themselves. They don't ask people what they want. Who on earth asked for any of this? Did you ask for any of this? No. They just make decisions themselves. Well, F104 career mode didn't work. That's true. F1 but if you go back through all the forum posts about the game in the past, it does say that basically they didn't have a lot of time to do that career mode, so it's more like a beta test career mode. So in that respect, because it was the first career mode that they did, I think they did a pretty decent job. If it was really just a test mode, and it was, you can tell that it was an add-on. It wasn't finished, because the fact that now the cars pitted during the races and you were restricted to 12 laps every single time and you couldn't adjust the difficulty, told you that it wasn't finished. It wasn't finished. But by the time the next game came along, F105, the career mode definitely was finished, because that was a thing of beauty. The only problem with F105 was it was so easy, and that really spoilt it. I mean, the graphics on that game were peachy, absolutely peachy. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But that's no good if it's too easy. If you can beat the opponent, it's boring, isn't it? It's boring. Obviously, they sorted it out for F106. That was very well balanced. And in my opinion, still, I think the best F1 game on PS2 was F106, the last one. I think it's very underrated, because it came along right at the end of the PS2 cycle and people were getting excited for PS3. And yes, of course, we had Championship Edition, which far eclipsed it and was a lot better. But in terms of just looking at it on the PS2, F106 I think was the best, and the career mode was fantastic. That 5-year career mode on F106 was absolutely brilliant. I had so much fun on that. It's the only career mode I haven't put on the all seasons, only because I did the Championship Edition, which was basically the same game, only on PS3. But the actual career mode on the PS2 version was absolutely brilliant. Really was. I had so much fun on that. And unfortunately, because the PS3 was so expensive when it came out, I did multiple careers on that PS2 version. I think I did about 6 or 7 5-year careers, because, you know, I couldn't afford the PS3, so I was still on my trusty PS2. So I did loads of them. But yeah, I had so much fun. So much fun. It didn't have a lot of the restrictions that the earlier titles had, like chucking you out too soon. Like if you just underperformed in 2 races, you were chucked out to be a test driver. It didn't have that. You had more warnings in that game if you weren't doing well, that you had to, you know, buck up and, you know, get better. And so it was a very well balanced career mode, I have to admit, on F106. Very well balanced. And yeah, I just loved it. It is bollocks, Dave, says DJM99. Yes, there you go. That should be quoted to EA at the bottom of their video. It's bollocks. That's all you need to say. It's bollocks. Bollocks. Bring back editing the driver names like in Formula 1 97 and 90. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. F1 97, when you can alter those names. Unfortunately, in F1 98, you can alter all the names. But as soon as you've done one race and you save it, all the names are gone, apart from your name. Because I tried to do an F1 98 season by changing all the names. You can't do it. Unfortunately, you can't do it. As I say, you can change all the names and you can do that, a race as those names, but as soon as you save it and it goes to the next track, all the names have reverted back to their ordinary ones, apart from yours. Very bizarre, but then it was F1 98, which is understandable. But in F1 97, if you had the dedication and put the time in to change all those names, which took forever because you had to constantly scroll up through 26 letters each time. Oh, it took forever. But if you had the patience to do that and you saved the game, those names stayed on there for the whole of the season, which was great. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, because we all want to race as Dave. Yes, we all want to race as Dave. Oh my God, could you imagine a Hookster career mode? Wowzers. Wowzers! A Hookster career mode. It's all just for show. A desperate marketing ploy to try and recover some of the lost revenue for the last few games. Yeah, I agree. I agree. As I say, we didn't ask for any of it though. It's just, they just come up with these ideas and think, oh, let's try that. But they don't ask us. I do wish they changed the game engine. I think they've had it since F1 2015. Yes, they have. That's the same Ego engine. It was 4.0, so it's been updated. It might be 5.0 now, I don't know. But basically, that Ego engine, which they made in 2015, and it took them nearly 2 years to make that engine. Everyone knows the F1 2014 mess. We won't go into it now. I've explained it before. But yeah, that was why 2015 was such a mess. But that game engine, the Ego 1.0, which came out for 2015, has been improved over the years. We're now at 4.1. As I say, I haven't checked lately. It might be 5.1 now. But it's the same engine. It's exactly the same engine. I'll say it again, says DJO99. Maybe it's time to start over again, starting on the PS1. Interesting. Interesting. Yes. Interesting. I don't think I could start the all seasons again now, otherwise that'd be another 8 years. I don't think I could do another 8 years of the all seasons starting from the beginning. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you want me to start from the beginning for another 8 years of the all seasons. It's not going to happen, but let me know. I'd like to hear your opinions on whether you want me to start again on the all seasons. But let me just tell you, I'm doing the 24 season. I'm starting that at the moment, so whatever happens, I can't do it until I finish that. But yeah, let me know. I think the Grand Prix games had something like the hot seat feature, only that it let you race as all the drivers. Yeah, I think they did. But yeah, that was F1 2003. That was a great little feature that I don't think anybody actually sort of picked up on. Is the fact that you could drive as 4 different cars, you're sort of playing in the multiplayer mode, but you're just using and you didn't have to change controllers. You could use the same controller. You didn't have to keep swapping over, even though it was designed for 4 players. You could just carry on as your controller. But it was great because I say you could control 4 different cars, and you could have them all in 4 different teams as well if you wanted to. So yeah, I used to pick a back marker. So I used to have a Minardi. I used to have a sort of middle runner, which was probably like a Jordan at the time or whatever, and then I'd have like two of the top runners up there, like a McLaren or something like that, or a Williams, and I just controlled all 4 at the time. I say I used to get 2 minutes, I think, driving, and then you'd get this little countdown timer going down, I think from 10 seconds, and then it would tick up for 10 seconds as you were then preparing to take control of the next car. And it didn't just chuck you into it and you'd be like, oh my God, I can't steer this. You'd see the car in front of you. You could see its position on the track. So if you were coming to a bend, you'd have enough time as it took control. And I think if I remember rightly, you never actually took control on a corner. It only let you take control as you're going down a straight. So you had plenty of time to get into it. It wasn't just launching you into this next car. But it was a great little feature. Loved it. Hello, Mr. Polish Eddie. Welcome to the stream. He says, oh, hey, you're still live. Yes, I am still live. How's it hanging, Dave? Yeah, it's hanging pretty good, mate. Hanging pretty good these days. Especially when Ariana Bravo gets on my telly. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. It's all too much. I'm an old man. My head is spinning with what you can do. I agree. I just looking at that deep dive, I was like, what? And none of those features make any real difference to how the game plays. No. I'm just very excited to bring to you F1 24, which will be on in about 3 or 4 weeks when the F1 23 finishes, because I've got a lot of stuff to say, and I want to show you, because you'll be able to see it on screen all the time, the on-track map, and you will see exactly the behaviour of all the other drivers on the circuit. And I'll tell you, you'll look at it and you'll be amazed. You'll be absolutely amazed. What's even more amazing is they've never fixed it. This is what has got a lot of people worried for F1 25, that they haven't, because they haven't mentioned anything about last year's problems with the AI. The AI is atrocious. Anyway, I'll keep that for when I do the video, but you'll see just watch the on-track screen. It'll be on there all the time during the videos, but just watch it and you'll be like, oh my god, how on earth did they release a game like that? And more importantly than that, they never fixed it. I mean, usually when something gigantic like this happens, eventually about 10 patches down the road, they fix it. But they've never fixed this. It's still the same now as it was when it first came out. Which is very strange. Very strange indeed. Please say F1 24 will be the last on the all seasons. These modern games suck all the fun out of it. Not going to lie. Well, I would like 24 to be the last one. I must admit. And I understand what you're saying. And I agree with you. But I wanted to do 24 because of the new features they put in to the driver career. Because I've been doing the same vanilla driver career now for quite a few seasons. So I wanted to do 24. So I think the decision to do it was right. But yes, I understand exactly what you're saying, because I've gone back and looked at some of the old ones. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. I can only make something as entertaining as the content that I've got in front of me. And if the content in front of me isn't entertaining, there's nothing I can do. I can't do what the big YouTubers do. If they've got the game on PC, they can manipulate all the stats and they can make other cars get better positions in the race. And, I can't do any of that because it's on console. So it's all completely vanilla. So if the races are boring, then obviously that's going to translate into the video. The only way I can get around it is to make the commentary even more enthusiastic, which is why I go totally over the top. But that's all I can do. I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is, like I have been doing for several years, is manipulate the race sometimes to get good results. But that's all I can do. I can't do anything else. So 24, I would like to be the last one. The only problem is I'd like to do one on 26 with the new regulations, but obviously that's still a lot of games down the road, isn't it? I've got 24 and 25 before I even get 26. There's another 3 games and another potential 4, 8, 12 seasons of all seasons, which is a long time because I'm only doing one a week. 2 races. It takes a long time to get through, especially with the 24 tracks on the calendar now. It's a very long time. So I don't know. I'd have to think. I think the best thing to do is to judge how 24 goes. Whatever happens, I'm going to do 24 until the end. Even if I only get 5 views a video, I've got to do 24 to the end. But I'll just have to see how it goes, basically. But I understand completely what you're on about. I do understand entirely. I say I prefer the older ones as well. Absolutely. Get Brad Pitt on this all seasons rubbish. Oh, there's an idea. Brad Pitt. It's not on PS4 because I think I checked the store when the game was announced and there was no option to pre-order it for PS4. Right. As ever with these Cody's games, they'd want for Quantity over quality. All of these options will be as shallow as a puddle on a street path. Yes, I agree. I feel like F1 25 may be a make or break game, given that the last game didn't do very well sales-wise. Yes, I did hear 76% down on sales. F1 24. 76%. I can't confirm whether that's true or not because, as you may or may not know, sales figures for games now are very hard to get hold of. You can get hold of them if you're clever, but they're never announced anymore. You don't know how many copies of anything a game has sold. But if you are clever, you can find out. But I did see on a forum, but I can't confirm it, that it was 76%. That's a hell of a chunk. Hell of a chunk. Hell of a chunk. I mean, I'd like to say that, you know, I'd finish it on F1 25 as that was going to be the last game, but I don't think it's going to be the last game. I think Codemasters will carry on churning out these F1 games for another 10, 20 years, to be honest. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't. As long as they're selling enough to break even, which they obviously must be, they'll just keep churning them out. I've said this before, but the F1 games is part of the EA stable of sports games. They produced a lot of sport games. All those sport games that EA produce are going downhill. They've been going downhill for years. They don't sell as well. But if you group like 6 or 7 or 8 of these games together and they all sell, I don't know, 2 million copies, which is as good as a grade A game would sell, it's still worth doing. It's still worth doing because, you know, you're still getting revenue and you're still getting money in. So as I say, I think they'll still be making them for another 10 or 20 years. Definitely. I can't see him stopping, to be honest. Hopefully it does awful so we can finally get rid of EA and Codis. Yes, they need to go ASAP. The PS2 was discontinued in early 2013. Yes, it was. The PS2 was supported for basically the entirety of the next-gen consoles. And the last PS2 game, PES 2014, came out a week before the PS4 came out. That's true. Should have a choice like you have in 2010 between 3, 5 and 7 seasons. Yeah, I've said this before. I still can't see the point of 10 seasons. It's way too many seasons. 5 seasons is a perfect career mode. Perfect career mode. You start at the back in a crap car. First season 1, you know you're not going to do very well. You get a slightly better car for season 2. Season 3, you end up in a midfield to sort of, you know, get in there sort of car, and then that gives you the last 2 seasons to end up in a sort of almost great car for season 4, and then season 5 you get into the top car, and that's it. 5 seasons are done. All finished. There is no point in doing another 5 seasons after that. There really isn't. Seasons, because there's nothing to do. If you play the modern F1 games, yeah, you've got all the resource points, all the parts on your car done by about 4 seasons, and there's nothing else to do. All you get is you get the reset, and then you have to adapt your parts, but you don't get any more new parts to put on your car because you've got them all by 4 seasons, sometimes 3 seasons if you're really good. And so there's no point. There is no point in doing 10 seasons of any of the games. It's pointless. If you just want to do it just to get that little screen at the end saying, oh, congratulations, well, that's fine. But yeah, I usually don't go past 5 seasons ever on the games. I'm trying to do all 10 seasons on all the games at the moment. It's going very, very slowly. I don't think I'll get it done in about 20 years, but I'll give it a go. I might get one done to the end. I love the F104 all seasons, not only because of you winning the title on the game, but also getting so many job offers only to say, oh, it's a test driver role. Yes. Yeah, it was a great season. And the thing is, when I started that series, I thought, I certainly didn't think it'd still be going 8 years later. I can tell you that much. When I started it, I thought, I'll give this a go, but I don't know whether people are going to want to watch this. So I'll give it 4 episodes. I recorded 4 episodes because back in those days, recording those were very, very quick and easy and simple because the races were short and the replays were very simple to do. So I recorded 4 in one go over one night, and I thought I'll give it to the end of 4 and see how it goes. See how it goes. But by the time I'd done those 4, I was just so well into it. I just carried on and carried on and carried on and carried on and carried on. And here we are now, 8 years later. 8 years later. And almost getting sacked by McLaren. Yes, that as well. I know. Don't forget, I did get sacked by, I think it was 2016, wasn't it? For Ferrari. I got sacked for real at Ferrari. That was such a ball ache, that was, I'll tell you. Such a ball ache. F1 Championship Edition was just a beautiful looking game, but sadly because of Sony losing the license, no F1 2007 or 2008. Yeah, that was very, very sad. The F1 drought. So, it could happen again. There's nothing to say it won't happen again. We've just been spoiled that it comes out every year, but it could definitely happen again where we could end up with no F1 game. Championship Edition was very up and down. The stuff in it was either brilliant or broken. Yeah, the only problem with Championship Edition was the rev penalties for cutting the track. That was a hangover from F106. That had exactly the same thing, unfortunately. It was a sticking plaster solution to a much bigger problem because, they just couldn't get the cut track penalties. If anyone remembers F197 Australia, you could just cut the circuit in half basically and couldn't get a penalty, and you could win every time in Australia. I never liked to do that because that was cheating, but you could just cut half the track in Australia because there was no track limits and you could win the race every single time. So if you were going for a championship, you were always, providing your engine didn't blow up, you always knew you could win Australia because you could just cut the track. It was just brilliant. We need Sony back on the F1 games. Actually put some damn effort into making them playable instead of shoving them with random cack to look good for marketing like Cody's do. Yeah, it would be great if Sony could get them back. Unfortunately, the studio now is gone, isn't it? Studio Liverpool. That edit name feature was perfect when Panis was on the game. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. More like 3 years to make that engine. F1 2015 was basically a beta test on a disc. Yes, it was. Another F104 career mode would be a laugh just to see how long it takes you to fail. Well, as I've said, I've done it 3 times off YouTube, and I can't replicate what I did on YouTube. Whether it was the power of YouTube, I don't know, or whether it was the power of you lot out there spurring me on, I don't know. But you got to look at it like this. That was seven years ago. So if I did it again now, I'd be 7. It'd be 7 years. So I'd be even worse at it, wouldn't I? Let's face it. Oh my God. F104 career, we love to see how long it takes you to fail. At least F198 was able to give the full driver standings instead of the top 6 like in F196. Yeah, that was the only problem with that game, was just the top 6. Probably the only good thing about that game. Yes, it was the only good thing about that game. I watched an old Grand Prix 4 series where someone did a championship season on 1988, racing as all 22 drivers. It was a bit biased as it had the Arrows drivers retiring a lot. Yes. I was playing the world's greatest driver on F1 Championship Edition at Bagley Court a few days ago. The AI were jealous, however, and took me off after about 15 times. I think we should all go back to F1 and F1 97. I agree. I'd like to see you back on the old games. Your commentary has improved over the years. Maybe just redo the commentary. There's an idea. Redo the commentary. Lesbians, I'm doing just that in small doses. The All Seasons has gone on for so long that Fernando Alonso was still driving that rubbish McLaren Honda. You're correct. Dave, if races are boring, Bernie had a great idea of spray water over your TV. Yes, that's the one. Good old Bernie the Bolt. Spray water over your TV. That'll fix it. And I should mention that F105 video at Monaco when the chair broke was probably the funniest All Seasons I have watched. I agree. And when you mentioned it to me the other day in the comments, I actually went back and watched it myself. Because everyone talks about that episode, so I thought I'd go back and watch it myself. And I agree. Because of the sound, you could hear the sound of the chair going bang. you knew that wasn't scripted or faked, and it was such a surprise. And I think I've said it before, but I didn't think that the chair had broken. I thought that the middle part of the seat had gone into my bottom, because something just felt weird for a few seconds after it happened. I was like, oh, that didn't happen, by the way, but it just everything felt strange. You know when something strange happens to you and you feel a bit disorientated for a few seconds, like, what the hell went on there? That's what it felt. I just thought the centre bit of the thing had gone straight up, but no, it didn't, luckily. But that's why it was so good, because it was completely unscripted. Good old Fernando Alonso. My phone died briefly. Yeah, I did see that it only did 11% on it. PlayStation 2 is the GOAT console. I agree. PlayStation 2 is the GOAT console. It's the best one that has ever come out, and there was so many games. There's a video out at the moment. I can't remember who it's by, so I can't recommend it to you because I can't remember who it is. But it just says racing games in 2004. And there was so many that came out in 1 year. It was unbelievable. I never even realised so many games, racing games, came out in 2004. They just ladled them on with a spoon, I think. It was just brilliant. Codies have had their time. They failed miserably for over a decade. Time for new people with new ideas. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's Codies so much as EA, to be honest. I think the Codies passion is still there with most of the team, but EA have just completely come in and destroyed it. Like, they destroy everything. They destroyed every studio they've taken over. They've just destroyed them, and that's what they've done with Codemasters. I think they'd be a lot better if they left EA and just went back to where they were before. I think they'd be a lot better. You still getting job offers from Menard? Yeah, I know. That was brilliant. I think a year or two could be good if it means getting new people in. F1 97, you could literally drive over the lake. Yes, you could. I mean, the WRC game isn't bad, given that it doesn't have any year in the title, so that means they can update it. Yeah. I did get that at Christmas, I think it was, because it was down to something ridiculous like £11.49 or something. So I haven't got round to playing it yet, but I'll be on it soon. It will be the fact you were playing 04 every single day, so you got used to its quirk. Yeah, I think that was probably it. I think when I started the All Seasons, I was uploading them every day, wasn't I? Because they were really quick to make, because they're only 10 minutes long, and I could edit them down in about 20 minutes, and then just release them the same day. So I think I did the All Seasons. I think I did it daily for about a couple of weeks, and then they started to get more and more complicated as they went on. So it took me longer. Shall we talk about what Lando said about trying to be a nice guy whilst trying to win the... Yeah, I know. It's funny watching the All Seasons and to hear you mention about F1 2017, also the Micro Machines. Whatever happened to that? Let's not mention that game, eh? I even made another channel about F1 Micro Games PlayStation. Yes. Yeah, this old man needs his kip. Good night, all. Good night, Mr. GJM99. Thanks for joining me in the stream tonight. Awesome as always. Binned upon release, Pessy. Release. The Cody's games were cack even before EA. He just couldn't hack it. F1 2014, cough. And F1 2015 had the 2014 cars anyway, so there wasn't really much point. True. Anyway, blimey, look at the time. 1 hour and 40. I've got to go. The Micro Games PlayStation lasts as long as MasterCard Lola. Yes. You're right, it did. I think I've got one video uploaded on that channel, and that's it. What we really need is a career mode on F1 World Grand Prix. Oh, no. Nobody needs a career mode on F1 2000 F World Grand... Oh, my God. What a game that was. Right, well, to wrap up the show, I better actually include something that I put in the title, and that is, this weekend, of course, it's the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, in real life. I know we don't care about real life, especially after last weekend's race, but yes. You're going to get on that Lando story face. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. Did you link it to me? I can't remember. We go back and see if you linked it to me. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. So he's basically talking to the Guardian, and Lando Norris said, and I quote, "I don't have as much of a killer instinct." Yeah. Yeah. I expect Maxi Boy read that and laughed his head off because he's basically just won the World Championship for 2025. The number one thing you would never say, ever, as a racing driver. I mean, can you imagine Ayrton Senna ever saying that? It just wouldn't, it would never come out of his mouth. I don't have as much of a killer instinct. That's what you need to win championships, is a killer instinct. That's what you need. But no, Lando decided, I'll post that or speak to the Guardian about that, and there we go. There we go. Lots of answers on this Instagram post. We knew that, buddy. Real winners do whatever they need to do. Oh, here we go. Here's actually the full comment he made. I feel like there is a very prescribed version of how people say a world champion needs to be. Overly aggressive. I'd rather just be a good person and try to do well. I'll do whatever I can to win a championship, but maybe I won't sacrifice in my life or have the fuck you mentality people say you've got to have. I still believe I can be a world champion, but doing it by being a nice guy, I don't have as much of a killer instinct as probably most of the drivers or most champions because I was just not brought up that way. I can go and pretend I've got a killer instinct and act like a bit of a dick. That might give people that perception. But there are certain things I would not do. I would not do that other champions have done. I don't want to be pushed around, and I would also never want to be seen as giving things up because I'm too nice. I'll still fight for things, and I'll still take risks, and I'll still do whatever I know I can do to be a world champion, but without losing the liberty of who I am. So there you go. Lando Norris. Talking about not having the killer instinct. Right, we've got to wrap up the show now because we're nearly out of time. What have we got in the world of F1? 3 different winners. Yes, we have. Oh, God, here comes the advert. 3 different winners. Norris feels McLaren unlikely to fend off Red Bull in Bahrain. He looks to make amends for Suzuka. Well done, Lando. Already admitting defeat and you haven't even turned a wheel yet. Leclerc hopeful Ferrari can close the gap with new parts that sets out expectations for Bahrain Grand Prix. There you go. So it is Bahrain. Where's the live timing? There you go. The Grand Prix weekend starts in 13 hours and 31 minutes and 56 seconds, which will of course be the first practice session because it's only Thursday and it's Bahrain. Yes, hopefully we'll get another better race than last week's. I think I did this on my Monday video, didn't I? I did the race results. So we'll just have a quick peruse at it. Lando Norris is currently in the lead at McLaren with 62, and Max Verstappen's right up there with 61, so 1 point ahead. And Oscar's in third with 49, George in fourth with 45, fifth for Kimi Antonelli, and sixth for Charles Leclerc with 20 World Championship points. So there you go then. It's Bahrain this weekend. Let's hope it's a better bloody race than that diabolical liberty they put on. You should get Charles Leclerc on this all season's rubbish in my messages. We need a rant about how pathetic his mental performance is. Truly embarrassing. Norris leads the title. He also said he wouldn't take too many risks. Mentality of a sock. Yes, it is a shame. It is a shame. But I say, you really wouldn't announce that to the world press if that was your, mentality. Why would you do that? That's ridiculous. But that's Lando. That's Lando for you. Bahrain. Yes, it's Bahrain. Bit like is it Azure? Is it Azure or is it Azure? I don't know. But it's definitely Bahrain. Bahrain. F1, F2002 and F1 2004 were magical, yes. That prescribed version is because that's reality. As history has proved, any driver with a crap mentality to win the title is Hill, and that was only because his car was miles ahead of everyone else. There's no excuse for saying things like that. It'll take the words out of a certain someone's mouth, yes. Time to back Oscar and start focusing the team more around him. The best of the best play mind games too, so Max will be getting into his head now. Exactly. As I say, if Max read that, which he probably has done, I'm sure they do keep abreast of what other drivers are saying, even though they're busy. I'm sure they do. I'm sure he looked at that and gone, probably gave out a Dr. Evil laugh and went, probably while pretending to rub his beard, because he hasn't got one, but pretending to rub his beard and go, very interesting indeed. Yes. To be honest, I think that Red Bull is actually reasonable. Only one guy can drive it. That's true. Maxi boy Verstappen is that one guy. Yes, no one else can. No one else can drive it. Anyway, that's it. It's 11 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. You have been awesome as always. Enjoy the Grand Prix, and I think there's going to be more Codemasters deep dives, which you can switch off or not watch if you're sensible. But they're going to be coming out in the next few days. I probably won't bother reporting on them because after that one, I started to fall asleep, to be honest. Yes. Bring back proper F1 games, for God's sake. Please. Please. Bring back proper F1 games, like the old ones. You have to be a twat to be a champion, simple as. That's true. That's true. I mean, what did they used to say about Senna? Oh my God. Also, down with Daddy EA. Yes. Boo. Boo. Codemasters, if you're watching, I'm sure you are. EA, if you're watching, I'm sure you are as well. Not. Just look at my comments. How they're in, and look at your own comments. Oh yes, everyone in the chat. That video. You don't have to watch the video. That deep dive I just showed you earlier. You have to watch it. I'm not saying watch it. What I'm saying is go to the comments on that video. Read through every single one of those comments. Because that is the judgment of people who play the games and what they think should have been done. The comments are absolutely horrific. Every single one of the comments, apart from about the usual 2 or 3 that you're going to get, are negative. Absolutely negative. And that's the thing that I can't understand why EA just ignore and just carry on doing their thing and just ignore it. Because, you know, these are the people that buy the games. And yet they just don't care. They just don't care. And Simp Masters. Only nice guy on that sort of level to become a champion was Jensen Button. This is true. This is true. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks to Mr. Rugara. Thanks to 43 Lesbians, once again. I just can't get over that name. Pinal Pessy, thank you, sir. Mr. DJM99, who has now gone to sleep. In fact, he's probably lying there now going... Thank you very much to you as well, sir. Who else did we have? Sure, we had some more. Oh, yes, Matthew was in there. Thank you, Matthew, for joining me as well. And I think that was everybody. Yes, it was. There you go. Even though Jensen had a tough mentality behind his friendly exterior. Oh yeah, he did. He was a toughy underneath that all, you know. Yes. He was a toughy. Good old Jensen Button. There's a little all seasons throwback for you there. All seasons throwback. Jensen Button. Anyway, thanks to all you who are watching my all seasons. That's Plynal Plessy and 43 Lesbians. Thanks to all you watching the all seasons. It's great to see, and it puts my watch time up as well. So fantastic, because I am having serious problems with the watch time. Unfortunately, serious problems. Got to get to 4,000 hours, and it's proven to be a struggle. Mostly because F1 is not as popular as it used to be. Plus, he lucked into that championship, let's be real. Oh, yeah, definitely. But, you know, as I've said before, it's whoever crosses that winning line and wins it, wins it. You can't take that away. True that, you know, they can luck into them. I mean, let's just look at Nigel Mansell, 1992. That was a lucky championship for Nigel because that car was unbeatable. Nothing could touch that car. If that car wasn't as good as it was, Nigel wouldn't have won in 92. That's obvious. So yeah, Nigel lucked into the 92 championship because the car was just on another level. But as I say, whoever crosses that finish line and wins the championship wins the championship. Doesn't matter how you do it. If you luck into it, or whether you do it purely on your own skill and determination, doesn't matter. You've won it, and that's it. You've won it, and that's it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Awesome as always. Enjoy the Grand Prix. I shall probably be around doing the results page on my shorts little bits as usual for the Grand Prix at Bahrain. So thanks for joining me tonight. For me, and we almost forgot TB the bear. I've got to wake him up. He's been asleep for the last hour and a half. TB, come on. Oh look, he looks all sleepy. Come on, TB, wake up, boy, wake up, wake up. Who do you want to win at Bahrain? Lewis Hamilton. I knew you were going to say that. I just knew you were going to say that. Yeah. Is he your favourite? He is. Wow. Why do you like Lewis Hamilton? I can't understand why. Anyone? Anyone help me? No? No. Don't get it. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for me and Mr. TB. Imagine if Massa won in 2008 would be the worst champion in history. That's true. That's true. I agree. I agree. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you, everyone. And good night. I'll see you on the flip side. All seasons on Sunday. What else have I got coming up? That's it. All seasons on Sunday, and I shall probably be popping up during the Grand Prix weekend at some point as well. Thank you, everyone. Also, as always, thanks for joining me. And I'll catch you. As I just said that, I get another message. I reckon Russell will nick a shock win this weekend. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. George and Russell could get a win in there. You're quite right. He's been doing very well. We will see. Anyway, right. I'm definitely going to go now. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. You've been awesome, as always. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you, and good night.